my fellow folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back for the Anime Podcast Show. And of course, you saw title and thumbnail. It's of course, the history of anime. Man, it's been a while since I have done this type of video. Now this time around will be about a studio, and it's been around since the early 2010s. Since then, we had incredible shows and movies in the 2020s, included with some controversial incidents that happened during the period of the pandemic. But they got the job done. But who is the studio am I referring to? Well, I am referring to MAPPA. Let's take a look at the history of MAPPA. Welp, let's go back all the way to the year of 2011. A brand new studio was formed by a co-founder and former producer of Madhouse. At the time, a few people could have predicted just how influential the studio could have become. Fast forward to today, and MAPPA has established itself as one of the most recognizable names in modern anime, responsible for many of biggest series and biggest projects they ever had this last decade and a half. Whether you're a fan of intense action series, emotional dramas, historical epics, or sports anime, or anything in general, there's a good thing you've watched and enjoyed something that produced by MAPPA. The studio's catalog has become one of the most impressive in the studio, and its work had really helped define what anime looks like in the 2020s. When MAPPA was first founded in 2011, the anime industry looked very different from what it was today. Well, back in those days, in 2011, the streaming service wasn't even what it is already. Wasn't transformed as a global market, and many of the blockbuster titles we know today are not exist yet. And the creator of MAPPA, he had a goal of continuing to support ambitious creative projects and talented animators. The studio's earliest work was focused on building a reputation rather than immediately chasing mainstream success. MAPPA worked on projects that was very strong storytelling and artistic ambition. One of the earliest works they ever done, and the project was Kids on the Slope, a heartfelt coming-of-age story that blended friendship, music, and personal growth. The series earned praise for its emotional depth, and that showed MAPPA they have a capability of producing anime with both technical quality and meaningful storytelling. As the studio continued to grow, it looked like increasingly ambitious projects. Series such as Terror in Resonances helped establish MAPPA as a studio willing to tackle mature themes and complex narratives. While these early productions may have not reached its popularity until later into that for the studio, they laid the foundation of what MAPPA truly eventually became. The true one came in the middle of the 2010s in 2016 as an original story, and that would be called Yuri on Ice, a series that would become a global phenomenon. The series captured audiences around the world with its memorable characters, emotional storytelling, and beautiful figure skating sequences. It quickly became one of the most talked anime series of the year and introduced countless viewers to MAPPA's work. For many international fans, Yuri on Ice was their first experience with the studio. It helped establish MAPPA as a major force within the industry. Following the success, MAPPA continued to expand its profile on their own variety of acclaimed series. So they adapted so many projects throughout of the late 2010s. By the end of the 2010s, MAPPA has already built an impressive reputation, but the studio's biggest challenges and greatest success were still ahead. As the 2020s rolled in as a new decade, they truly cemented that MAPPA's place among anime elite studios. One of the most significant moments in the company's history came when they took over production on Attack on Titan's final season. But here's the thing, though, everyone, that Attack on Titan was produced and animated by Wit Studio. And then when 2019 came around at the end of Season 3, they said, oh, we're going to adapt Season 4 as the final season. But then there was a little slight change. Everyone got really upset, including myself, that it was moved that Wit Studio is no longer doing Attack on Titan. That really sucks, though, because I think they have multiple projects they have in the works, and they're already eyeing on another series that they want to produce on and make it and share it to the world. So that's why Attack on Titan is not on their minds at that point. So I think Wit Studio were done making Attack on Titan. Anyway, was not just another anime project. Attack on Titan is one of the most popular, influential anime series in the world, with an enormous global fan base and incredibly high expectations. Taking a responsibility for the final acts of the most beloved franchise, that's a huge, huge task they have to do. Despite the pressure they all going through, that MAPPA delivers a conclusion that brought one of the most iconic stories that has to wrap things up. The studio's work on Attack on Titan introduces many viewers to MAPPA and demonstrated its ability to handle large-scale productions under intense scrutiny. Around the same time, MAPPA founded another enormous success with another franchise, but it will be adapted by MAPPA, and that will be Jujutsu Kaisen. And Jujutsu Kaisen is already an established story from the manga, and the adaptation quickly became one of the most popular anime series of the decade. And fans praised on its animation, spectacular fight sequences, and faithful adaptation to the source material. The success of Jujutsu Kaisen further strengthened MAPPA's reputation as a studio captivated of producing blockbuster anime on a global scale. The momentum continued with another franchise that they'll be adapting is Chainsaw Man, and one of the most anticipated anime adaptations in recent memory. And MAPPA approaches that the project will be an ambitious cinematic style that showcased the studio's willing to experimenting creativity. The result was striking. The visuals are freaking insane, and the sparked discussion throughout the anime community. And I think that MAPPA did a fabulous job with both of those franchises, and they became a household name for Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, and they did a great job with those. But behind these titles, MAPPA has continued to work on various projects, such as Vinland Saga, Hell's Paradise, Ranma Half, and the list goes here from there. However, the rise up for MAPPA has been accomplished by challenges as the studio becomes responsible for more productions. Conversations about animator workload and production schedules became increasingly common. These discussions reflected broader concern throughout the entire industry for animators in Japan regarding for working conditions and the pressure they all faced during the pandemic. And of course, they've been working on these type of projects not only during the pandemic and the post-pandemic. It was very struggled for all of them. But with all these issues, they expand far beyond any single studio that they can. MAPPA often found themselves at the center of these conversations because of its rapid growth and the sheer number of high-profile projects that they are producing. These debates have become a part of the studio's story and have contributed to large industry-wide discussions about a sensibility, work support, and the future of anime productions. They reminded us that behind of every action sequences, emotional moments that the teams of artists and animators were working on with these amazing stories,